The U.S.-Mexico border has been topping our headlines this month with thousands of migrants wanting to seek asylum in the U.S. It's heightened conversations around our immigration system, with politicians on both sides of the aisle having their own thoughts as to what the solution is, unable to meet in the middle. That's not new, but could that change? We're talking about the Dignity Act. Just last week, a bipartisan group of lawmakers unveiled this bill that would increase border security funding, legalize some immigrants living in the U.S., and expand lawful migration channels. This follows the events we saw leading up to the expiration of the COVID-era Title 42 policy earlier this month. There was a rise in the number of migrants at the border seeking asylum. That has since dropped. We saw the numbers, we saw the images. But what happens when a family arrives at a city in the U.S. after being processed at the border? What does the first week of life look like for them? Well, there are families arriving here in the Bay Area. This family from Latin America led us into their life during an uncertain time. Paola and her family were released from a processing center with a court date in California. They landed at San Jose Mineta International Airport this month late at night, uncertain where to go next.
Yo aproximadamente eran las 5 de la mañana y yo ver a mis hijos en las sillas tratando de descansar y se me venía la imagen de que en el hogar que nosotros construimos tenía sus camas, tenía sus cosas, y yo al verlos así, yo empecé a orar.
They had a home in Latin America. As her kids slept, she couldn't help but think of what they had left behind. She and her family were now in an unfamiliar place. They didn't know anyone here.
Y le decía al Señor, Señor, si nos tienes acá es con un propósito, ¿sí? Y guíame, envíame un ángel para que nos guíe. Yo quiero que mis hijos tengan un lugar, no importa, pero un lugar que pueda descansar al menos por un día. Y Dios no solamente me envió uno, me envió muchos.
She tells me those angels were people who worked at the airport. They gave them food and suitcases and connected them to Amigos de Guadalupe, a nonprofit in San Jose helping families who just got here. In just the last couple of weeks, Jeremy Barus with the nonprofit tells us they've had several families seek out their help.
Hola, ¿cómo estamos?
When they connect with a family, they give them a hotel room for 7 days. Paola and her family led us into where they're staying. Here, it's been a couple of days since they arrived. Paola has just gotten up. She and her husband, Oscar, get breakfast ready for their kids with the food that has been donated to them. Putting chicken into the microwave and serving it on what they have.
¿Y cómo te llamas usted?
Joel,
Joel is the youngest. He likes to watch movies.
los Minions.
Ah, Minions are his favorite movie.
Paola hopes he can go to school here. Her kids gather around her as she starts their morning prayer, holding on to Joel's hand. They're starting all over here, but she and her husband tell me they had to leave.
Muchas amenazas en contra de la familia.
Wilson Purvis is a local immigration attorney with years of experience. He's had many clients seek asylum for a number of reasons.
Well, there are a lot of socioeconomic factors to consider, but typically many applicants decide to come here and seek help because they don't feel safe back home. When we're talking about safety issues, we're referring to organized crime, domestic violence, retaliation because of sexual orientation. There are many factors to consider whenever an applicant seeks help in the U.S.
It's been a long journey for Paola and her family.
Con esto se tapaba uno y se guardaba uno del frío.
Paola and Oscar want to be able to support themselves and their family, but Purvis tells us getting a work permit could take some time.
Keep in mind that we need to file the asylum application first, await 180 days, and eventually file the work authorization, which could take also months for being adjudicated. Therefore, it may take up to a year or so for an applicant to actually have a work permit and a social security number after filing the asylum application.
Paola and Oscar want their kids to have the opportunity to reach their goals. Dylan is the oldest and plays soccer.
¿Qué es la primera cosa que les gustaría hacer acá, ya que están acá?
Estudiar.
His younger brother Felipe plays volleyball. He wants to continue that and learn English.
Terminar los estudios y estudiar inglés.
Samuel hopes to finish school and also wants to learn English. Through it all, Paola says some of the most important things for her have been keeping her family together and being in a safe place.
La salud y la tranquilidad no tiene precio.
They're now hoping to build a new life here. Yeah, and they're just one of many families trying to figure out how to build a new home in a place they just got to. So there's a lot of uncertainty. We met several families, or just talked with a couple of families through Amigos de Guadalupe, but Paola and her family, they let us in a very vulnerable time for them right now. They don't know exactly what's next, but unfortunately, it's a situation that a lot of people are in right now, Gianna.
But you see those images from the border with just groups of people out there. And again, this is just one of many families that we're seeing this. And just to hear Paola's story and just to be a mom and how heartbreaking and scary this must be for them and their family. What's next, Jocelyn? I think a lot of people are wondering, now that they're here, the nonprofit's giving them a hotel for 7 days, now what?
Yeah, and we keep using the word uncertainty, but that is what it comes down to. We talked with San Jose's Office of Racial Equity Director last week about this. I asked her if there was housing or resources families could seek. She told me while they are working with the county and nonprofits to figure that out, as of that time, there wasn't. So it's been almost a week since I've talked with her. She hasn't given me an update. I reached out with her to her again yesterday. It was Memorial Day, so of course we are going to stay updated with this one because there are a few families who are getting here to the Bay Area and are in similar situations right now.
And just to think this is just one part of their journey, they still have so much more, so much farther to go, hearing how long it could take just to get a work permit and to work here legally.
Yeah, but it's a perspective we may not always see.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that story.
Amanda.
Yeah, Jocelyn really opening up our eyes to the reality of their situation. Next, a